just how many games can we bring to you in a given week? Let's see how far we can stretch it. This was a big week after all. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you supersized edition, because this week we're talking about all the games we saw revealed at Summer Game Fest, and last but certainly not least, each of our experiences with the new Switch 2. I'm Maddy Myers.
I'm Jason Schreier.
And I'm Kirk Hamilton. And hello.
Hello, my friends.
Hello.
Welcome home from Los Angeles.
Home sweet home.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in old New York. Guys,
or Boston, Massachusetts.
I have my 20th year high school reunion tonight, Thursday night.
It's upsetting.
Which is wild. I have to give a speech. What
do?
should I talk about? Yeah. They asked me to say a few words. I think I'm just going to talk about the Switch 2.
Wait, why? I mean, is it just sort of games journalism themed? Like, why did they come to you?
Yes, my high school reunion is games journalism themed.
I would imagine that Jason is a prominent graduate of his high school class.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, they just wanted me to give a speech. I don't know. I was
that's cool.
I think they thought I would be good at just making fun of my classmates and old teachers. And so,
it's a roast.
It could be.
You know, I just watched my niece give an 8th grade speech and she totally crushed it. I could send you her speech and you could just give the same speech.
That is a good idea.
Or you could just get some coaching from her on like how to give a speech to other kind of classmates that you had.
I'm sure she would give feedback.
Because she was really good at it.
What was the theme of her speech?
It was about when she first came to the school when she was a kindergartner, and then how now she's an 8th grader and she's been there this whole time, and how her relationship to the space has changed, and now she sees it as an older kid. So I think it would be totally applicable to a 20th.
I actually think that is applicable, yeah.
Interesting.
20th high school reunion.
Yeah, I feel like you could really go for that.
And here I thought I would just be burning all of my former classmates in a series of well-timed insults. But okay, we could go either way.
You could go with that too.
If you're enjoying all of these additional parasocial details about our personal lives, then you might want just a little bit more of them. And how could you get them? How could you get more Triple Click per capita? Well, you're missing out if you aren't subscribed to our bonus episodes. And we say it every week. This week is no different. It's MaximumFun.org/join. That would be how you would support our wonderful ad-free show. We're part of Max Fun. We love them. We own our show. Max Fun's worker owned. All good things. Gives me the warm fuzzies every single week when we record this. And it should give you the warm fuzzies too. And it can when you get bonus episodes from us. Sometimes it's just us talking about our personal lives. We do have some episodes like that in the bonus feed. Although I believe the most recent bonus feed episode is a Blueprints Beans cast. That's us spilling the beans on all things Blueprints. But we've also got one coming up about Andor Season 2, which we've watched and which we are going to thoroughly spoil and get way into, go full Star Wars on it. So lots and lots of fun bonus eps in there. There's video game stuff, there's personal life stuff, there's non-video game stuff like Andor, pretty much whatever we want. So definitely go to MaximumFun.org/join, become a member and support us. And also, why not, if you are in Portland, Oregon, round about July 11th, maybe you live there or if you happen to be there. This is how I go about promoting our live shows. You know, if you just happen to be there then I think you could come to Triple Click Live and you'd have a great time if you did that. We are doing a live show at the Alberta Rose Theatre. Doors at 7, show at 8. But also, even if it's not just like you happen to be there and you're listening to the app on the exact right day, you could actually get a ticket ahead of time. And I would recommend doing so. There's a link in the show notes. That way we know you're coming and also you've got your ticket secured. So please come to that. That'll be really fun. We're going to play some songs too, because we moonlight as a rock band, the three of us, you see. So definitely don't miss that. And with that, let's get into the real meat of the show. Jason, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, man, there's a lot of gaming news over the last week. We're not going to go through every single announcement one by one, but there was a big PlayStation State of Play. There was a Summer Games Fest Keighley keynote, and then there was an Xbox showcase. And then at the same time, Maddy and I spent a whole bunch of time in Los Angeles where we played some games and talked to some developers, and we're about a mile away from all the big protests as that was happening. So that was a little surreal. And
Saw some smoke, heard some sirens.
Yeah, saw some helicopters, bigger police presence on the Playdays, SGF Playdays, Summer Games Fest Playdays campus. But we won't get into all that. We will get into some games because that's what we're here to talk about. Unless, Maddie, did you have any thoughts on like what the craziness that was going on? Because I didn't really feel it other than just kind of like reading the news obsessively. And
yeah, I read the news a lot while I was there. I didn't head over there, but I know some of our peers did and came back and showed us pictures. I mean, it was really right there, which made it kind of an interesting show compared to previous years. But I don't know.
The one thought I had was that like it's surreal seeing the president talk about how Los Angeles is like a shit show while being in Los Angeles, and it's like totally fine.
It's fine. And it's just people trying to live their lives, and perhaps the president should let them.
I mean, as someone who was in Portland in 2020, it was incredibly familiar. That was the same feeling when we were here, and I was hearing from older family members asking me if everything was okay because we hear it's anarchy in Portland. And I'm like, I don't know. I walked
Not
my
really,
dog,
no.
man. There's some protests downtown. Like most things are totally fine. So yeah, that's
a good point. Yeah, my mom was texting me frantically too.
A very frustrating thing to see.
Okay, so let's talk about some games. So let's start with the announcement talk, and then Maddie and I can both talk about some of the cool things we saw and played and talked about while we were there. So for you guys, I'm going to throw it to you guys in a second. I want to talk about a couple of my highlights over the course of the week and the shows that were aired. And then I'm curious to hear what you guys thought was the coolest. We don't have to, again, we're not going to talk about every single announcement, but I'm curious as to what stood out to you guys, whether in a good or a bad way. We could talk about what's most noteworthy. So a couple of highlights for me. First and foremost, on Thursday at the State of Play, Final Fantasy Tactics finally got announced. Sorry, that was last Wednesday. Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster finally got announced after being leaked 4 years ago and being kind of on and off in development over the last 4 years. I am so excited for this, you guys. This is one of the greatest games of all time, now coming back on modern platforms. It's going to be cool.
Are you really excited? I feel like I saw some people saying they wanted more out of this remaster because it was so long awaited, but maybe you don't feel that way and you're like, no, it's good enough for me. A plain old remaster. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah, that's what I expected. That's what I knew it was going to be. I've talked about this in the Discord a few times. There's these two kind of coupled rumors, the Final Fantasy Tactics and the Final Fantasy IX. And Tactics was always going to be this remaster visual overhaul, whereas 9 was going to be more of a full-fledged remake. I think I described it a couple of years ago as like not quite a super turbo remake on Kirk's taxonomy of the remakes, but also a little bit more than a remaster. So somewhere kind of in between, not quite FF7 style 3-part extravaganza, but also more than just a remaster. And to answer your question, Maddie, no, I didn't expect more. Second thing is that it doesn't need more. It's a perfect game as it is. It could use like maybe a couple new character classes and maybe some gameplay rebalancing, but like it really didn't need many changes. And the third thing is that a little bit of behind the scenes insight is that this is actually made by the unit within Square Enix called Creative Studio 3 or Creative Business Unit 3, whatever they're called these days.
Oh, yeah, right.
And
catchy
those
name.
are the people, yeah, right, for real. These Division 1, Division 2, Division 3.
I know it's how they operate.
Blizzard had Team 1, Team 2, Team 3. All these companies. It's so funny. Anyway, and they are the people who make Final Fantasy 14 and also made Final Fantasy 16. So I believe one of the reasons it's taken so long is because this project was just kind of on and off development over the years as that team had to work on these much bigger, much more important, much more imminent projects. And so it wasn't just that they were like secretly working on this thing for 4 years. It's that it just stopped and restarted development over the course of that time.
I'm going to play it.
But Tactics, just to kind of, in case people aren't familiar with it, is a grid-based strategy game. It's not quite like Fire Emblem, and it's not quite like XCOM, but it's definitely shares DNA with both of those games. The way it works is you build a party of 5. You can have a bigger army, but you can only take 5 into a battle with you at once, and you customize them however you want. You can train them in different character classes, which are based on typical Final Fantasy character classes like knights and archers and wizards. And then you can do some mix and matching of abilities. So you can train them up to learn abilities from one class and bring that over to another class. And you can customize your characters in all sorts of fun ways. And then you combine that, which is super addictive kind of grid-based strategy combat, with this incredible, epic, sprawling, like Game of Thrones-y story about religion and poverty and class inequality and a lot of themes that I think are still very much applicable today. And yeah, that's going to be a very cool game for us to jump into, to talk about. Kirk and I have both played it. Maddie, you will be playing for the first time.
I'm excited.
Be very exciting.
Yeah. It sounds kind of Fire Emblem-y based on your
there's a little bit of Fire Emblem in
which I mean
there.
is a compliment, of course. I like Three Houses had a lot of that, like fun themes on top of a cool strategy game. I really liked that. So I think I'll like this.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciated the statement that accompanied the announcement of Tactics as well from the director about how in this time of inequity and tyranny, once again, these themes are relevant. I just thought it was kind of nice to see someone just sort of saying something very straightforwardly like that.
Yeah, I dug it.
Matsuno is a real one. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple of other just kind of like little announcements that have me excited. There was one game called Blighted, which is the next game from Drinkbox Studios, the company behind Guacamelee and Nobody Saves the World. And that game looks and also plays super cool. I'm very excited about that one. There are a couple others here and there, but yeah, what do you guys, Maddie, did you see anything in the announcements that got you excited?
Yeah, for sure. A couple things I didn't get to just play, but I'm still nonetheless excited for, because we're still in that section. Marvel Tokon is an ArcSys fighting game that's going to come out, and it looks really, really cool. I will probably struggle to be amazing at it, but I think I'm going to have a good time trying. This is like a 4v4 tag fighter system, so like you're going to have to select 4 characters with which to try to be good at, which even just saying that, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's going to be so complicated. I'm thinking about how meticulously I designed my MVC3 teams, which were 3-player in and of themselves. Like you'd have to kind of think about like, okay, these 3 characters are each going to perform a different role on my team. Add in another one, that's already going to be wild. I don't think I've ever played a fighting game like that. I'm sure they exist, but 4 is a lot in my mind. But anyway, the art looks freaking incredible. Really, really dig the style of it. Think it's just going to be cool. Obviously, I enjoy Marvel Comics. That's no secret. So I'm going to dig probably that part as well. But I just also thought the fighting game itself looked neat.
Does this mean, Maddie, that Marvel vs. Capcom is dead now that they're doing this?
I do kind of feel that way. Like there was a piece of me watching this where I was like, this might just be the franchise that
it does seem sort of like they can't
go ahead and jump on.
Not.
I also saw some jokes from people online where they were like, get this, what if we added Capcom characters into this game? Like people were definitely like playing into it and being like, here's a crazy idea. What if Capcom was involved in some way? Like there's
what
definitely
if Phoenix
a
Wright was here?
lot of online bits about that, which is totally justifiable. I mean, that MVC is really in a weird place right now. I don't know if it's going to recover or not. I don't have any inside information about that. I'm just a fan of that series, so I'm sad about what's happened to it, which means I'm interested in Marvel Tokon and kind of curious about what it's going to be like. It looks fun. And also, I didn't get to play this game, although I saw more of it, which is Resident Evil Requiem. Obviously, we all knew this was in the works, but it was fun to have it confirmed. They did kind of a bait and switch thing as part of the stream where like the developer came out and said they weren't going to announce RE9 yet, and then later in this stream as the One More Thing announced it. Fine, sure, I'll take the bit. It looks cool. It's been a while since there was an RE game that had like a little diminutive final girl type as the main character, and like that's the only person you can play as. There's not like the option to play as somebody else, and so I think that's
well.
Cool.
Hold on, we don't know that.
I guess that's right. I actually don't know that, but I'm assuming it's her.
Don't assume that.
Fine, I won't.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, they're not officially saying yet, but the rumors are that there's Liana's in there.
I guess that's true. Although in the presentation that you and I saw, Jason, they did highlight the fact that she's not combat trained, and that was like kind of a different thing for the game. Like usually, at least the characters in Resident Evil are like police officers or they're military in some way. They know how to use a rifle. This is a character who, at the very least, even if she's not the only one who's playable in the game, she's really hard Scrabble. Like she's going to have to figure it out. And that does feel like kind of a different and more classically final girl situation for an RE game. And I thought that was kind of cool and interesting.
Yeah, I got to play it actually, so I can talk a little bit about
Yeah, I want to hear more about it.
what
since
it's
you played
like.
it, so
Yeah, so I
tell
played
us
this.
about it.
I played this relatively short demo, and it feels like the most Resident Evil thing possible. So it starts off with her. Grace is her name, Grace Ashford. She, I believe, is the daughter of a previous Resident Evil character.
Yeah, Alyssa's her mom. Yeah, from I think the game's called Outbreak. I mean, there's a ton of Resident Evils.
Yeah, there's a lot of lore up in there, but she
Yep.
starts off like on this gurney, strapped to this gurney upside down, and she like maneuvers her way into getting off of it. So for all of her kind of helpless nature,
Yeah, she's gonna
she is
figure it
clearly a badass. Yeah, she clearly knows what she's doing. And then you play as her in first person, which by the way, you can switch to third person at any time. You can toggle
Very
between first
cool.
and third person, which is wild. You play as her in first person in the demo, and you skulk through this hallway, and you are seeing there's a lot of spooky things around you, a lot of it seems like you're in this medical facility, so there's like staff charts that you can look at and like photos and kind of patient records, and you find this key that's like cherub themed and use it to open a door that is cherub
themed
themed.
key.
Yeah, and you go in there and you find a fuse box that needs a fuse, so you have to go look for the fuse. And then as you're looking for the fuse, you get chased around. You run into this massive, like Mr. X
do you want to
style,
describe the monster?
monster that like eats corpses and is chasing you.
I did get to see her. So here's what I'll say about this big monster. It's kind of like they looked at Lady Dimitrescu and the response to her and how hot she was as a Resident Evil monster, and they were like, what if we made a big tall lady, but she was the least hot tall lady you could possibly fathom? So she has this like disgusting toothy maw and like one big eyeball and small eyeball.
You know there's still
and,
going to
like,
be some people
somebody's gonna
out
be
there,
into it.
though.
She's got a big dinosaur claw. Like, I know the step on me mommy memes are incoming for that freaking dinosaur claw. No, she looks horrifying. Like, they really were like, we don't want you to be into the monster. We want to make her really upsetting
It's
looking.
funny because they took the actress who played Lady Dimitrescu and made her essentially their spokesperson for the entire presentation.
I know. I just thought it was kind of a funny parallel because much like Lady Dimitrescu, this monster will like kind of like hunch over when she's walking through human-sized doorways and like kind of come after you and seem larger than life almost because everything is normal human shaped, but like she's kind of navigating this area and is bigger than all of it.
So you get chased by the monster. You have to like loop around and knock her out a little bit, and then get back in there. And then you move this kind of wheeled cart to provide a stepping stone, so you can jump up and get the fuse from a briefcase, in which that you like turn around with your hands, so you can find the lock and unlock it. And then it's all very Resident Evil once again. And then you use the fuse, and I think you use a screwdriver to open the fuse box to get the fuse, and then bring it over to the other place. And eventually you turn the power
I like
on.
that you're giving us the play-by-play on that.
Well, it's just, I'm describing it to make you, to paint the picture
you
that this is
there.
like 100% Resident Evil. And then the last thing you see in the demo is like you slide under this gate just as it's closing to get away from the monster. And you wind up in this big room that kind of resembles like the foyer in the mansion in Resident Evil 2, which is when we all played last year. It just, again, feels like a little hub for that area. So yeah, all felt very Resident Evil. There are rumors floating around about like whether Leon is a playable character, whether it's like linear or open world. And this presentation, this demo did not like touch upon any of that stuff. It was really just a very like short Resident Evil style thing that had just about that. But yeah, I'm sure you play as someone else, whether it's Leon or not.
That is a
because
classic,
they need
yeah.
the kind of the combat sections. This is very much the puzzly sections, and I'm
Right.
sure they're also going to be the combat
And
sections.
if she can't use a gun, maybe that would be kind of tough. Like maybe eventually you need to use
yeah,
one.
exactly. Unless she suddenly is, or actually, maybe we get a 5-year time skip in which she learns how to be
She learns, he goes to
a
the
police
shooting
officer.
range. Yeah.
Kirk, did you see anything that stood out to you over the course of the last week or so?
Yeah, there was plenty of stuff that was announced that looked neat. I thought, what is it called? There Are No Ghosts at the Grand.
Yeah,
looked neat. This was
this
at the
looked very
Microsoft
cool.
press conference. So it's like a musical / narrative / who knows what exploration kind of a game. that, you know, it was a little light on details on how it actually works and really high on high concept, which, you know, can sometimes be a red flag or can indicate a game that is cooler in theory and in trailers than it is to actually play. But it had a killer vibe and just looked really neat. So that was one game that I will at least have my eye on. It was nice to see a sequel to Planet of Lana. That was my one more thing a little while ago. A kind of overlooked, underappreciated Limbo-like game is how I would describe it. Side-scroller with sort of discrete puzzles on each page with a hostile environment and monsters that chase you, but it's all very puzzly in that kind of set-piece puzzle way that Limbo and Inside do. And I just liked that game, and it'd be cool to see another. I thought the trailer or teaser or whatever you want to call it for Persona 4 Remake was really funny because it was so short. I guess they just didn't have much time, but that looks cool. What else? Outer Worlds 2, you two maybe saw more of that than I did, but I'd love to hear a little more about it because I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I played it. It's really cool from what I saw. I don't know. It's hard to get a real gauge of an RPG from just like a 30-minute
20
demo.
minutes. Yeah.
But I thought it
too.
looked really cool. It felt good. Guns felt good. I should have played the first one like before coming to SGF just as a reference point.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to remember
I also felt that way.
I was trying to remember what I didn't like about the first one, which I kind of bounced off. But what I played of Outer Worlds 2 was really cool. Basically, the demo is set inside this one kind of dungeon area, and there are a few different paths you can take. You can find this NPC who can kind of like guide you into like beating the boss without having to fight him, or you can like either miss that NPC entirely or like not even bother with that. And so it was very much like this RPG section where you can just like pick a bunch of different ways to get past it in true Fallout style, kind of in pre-Fallout 4 Fallout style.
Yeah, there's also really good gun feel in this game, and I got to talk to the developers a little bit after I played it, and they talked a lot about specifically wanting to improve that and include a lot more comedy weapons this time around. And the one I had in the demo that I really liked is just shoots lightning at people. It was very satisfying. Like the animations were really funny. There's like a very slapstick comedy kind of a violent game. Like doesn't really, it feels like play violence, and having lightning is really fun in that environment. But they told me there's like a better version of the shrink ray from the first game where now you can shrink people down to be like an inch tall and just like run over them, and that sounded funny. And there's like a gun where there's like one of the factions is really into advertising. This is the first game and this game are both like satirical comedy, like anti-corporate satire most of the time. And so one of the factions is a corporation, and they have a gun that just shoots ads like billboards at people that just irritate them. And I'm like, that actually sounds really fun. Like they were describing just some of their ideas, and I was like, this sounds really whimsical. And like they are really leaning into some of the things that were cool in the first game but weren't really fully expanded upon as much as they could be. And I really got the sense from the devs that they knew that and were like, we really want this game to include more and better of the things that people liked about the first one. Hope it works.
Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah, I remember the shootouts were not that fun in the first one. And then overall, the satire was just a little bit one note for me. I just didn't feel as fleshed out.
It was a little much.
One note is exactly the quote that the developers told me as well. Like, I put that in the headline, and I was like, wow, you guys just said it, huh? Like, that's...
They're like, we're going to have so many notes. A whole chromatic scale this time.
They're adding a ton of notes.
Well, this is the E3 experience, right? Like, traditionally, I think Steven like once did a story about this. Oh, you know what it was? I think it was about sports games, how like every single year they would just trash the year before sports games and talk about all the things they were improving. So this is like the true E3 experience, is developers being like, here's what we fucked up last time. Now here's what we're going to get better. But no, this does seem, it's crazy that Obsidian is releasing 3 games this year in Avowed, this, and Grounded 2.
I guess it's different teams somehow, because somebody else in my group interview asked about that, but it seems tough anyway.
It is, different teams. Grounded 2 was made, a lot of it was made in co-dev with Eidos Montreal, which is interesting. Grounded 2, I played 2, by the way, and was left pretty impressed. Left wanting to play more.
Same.
Oh, yeah?
I've never played the first one or really been
me
into
neither.
survival games that much, but it's pretty fun. If I were to like dive into a survival game, I think this would be a good one to do, just because it's so cute and the art style is awesome and the concepts are fun and it's funny and it looked pretty cool from what I saw.
Yeah, I had a good time too. I really liked the rideable ant that you get, and that's new to this game.
buggy.
I also
It's
didn't
called a
play the first
buggy,
one. It's called a
which is a
buggy. You're
great
riding a
name.
bug. It's freaking adorable. It's a big old red ant, and it's just wobbling around. It's like cute and fun to ride. It just felt really good. So yeah, I had a great time with that one, and it kind of made me want to play the first one. I mean, that's what you want, right? You want a person who didn't play the first one to go back and be like, maybe I'll play that.
I thought that game Infinitesimals looked cool, which is funny. Speaking of Grounded, it was another Grounded type game where you're playing little tiny aliens. It seems like a fun idea or a fun twist on that Honey, I Shrunk the Kids thing. And it just looked neat. I wouldn't have thought of that for a game, and it's kind of just cool to see a game that makes an impression. And actually, Infinitesimals is also a pretty good name.
It is a pretty good name. I did think that too. That's an Epic Games title that's upcoming. It was at the show. I didn't have time for it. I mean, we're barely even scratching the surface of all the stuff I played. I guess now we're firmly in the section of stuff we played.
Yeah, we can
at
get
this
into
point.
that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you guys have talked about all the stuff that you saw that was cool, there was a lot of stuff announced. There
True.
was like a new Super Meat Boy. There was like High on Life 2, if you guys are stoked about that. And man, how could we forget the closer to Microsoft's show, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, just coming out with a bang. They're like,
making
you got
another
Black
one."
Ops last year and now you get it again.
You know what did look cool was the Double Fine game. We don't have to list games that did look cool, but the games that did look cool.
It actually did look cool, though.
That where you're playing a lighthouse.
Keeper.
That game. Yes, Keeper.
Yes.
I like Lighthouse Keeper. That looked
Yeah.
really neat. I was excited about that.
Yeah, I was really hoping to play that at the show and it wasn't available, but I am excited to check it out.
I suspect that's a tough game to demo because it looks pretty
Yeah.
weird and
You're
like
probably right.
surreal and psychedelic.
Classic Double Fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's the game led by Lee Petty, who also led Rad and Stacking and a few of Double Fine's other games. Over the
Yeah,
year.
and for art directors, he's kind of got an art background, which
Yes.
is why his games tend to look amazing.
Yeah, they tend to look really distinct and unique. And then there's another game that Double Fine has that I suspect they're going to announce pretty soon as well, like maybe this year even. That is the Clay game that they've been talking about for a while. I don't know if they've like made it official public, but like it was pretty clear if you watch the Psychodyssey doc that like because it was one of their Amnesia Fortnite prototypes, they made it during their game jam, and it was pretty clear that they were all stoked about it and like potentially turning it into a real thing. The idea is
This
that
is
it's
the
like
multiplayer
a
game where
multiplayer, like
you have
you
a
shape
kiln and you
clay.
can- okay, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
and
yes,
you fight with
yes.
clay and stuff like that. Yeah, so I suspect that'll be announced in
Nice.
the near future as well, because it's been 4 years since Double Fine's last game. There was also there was another teaser of the new Like a Dragon thing, Stranger Than Heaven, like 1940s.
Oh yeah,
That looked
great.
cool.
I mean,
Like a Dragon.
It was like a period piece, which looked really neat. It's like set in the 40s.
yeah, and it wasn't a like a dragon game exactly.
Yeah.
It was kind of its own thing. There were a lot of games like that, honestly. I mean, Clockwork Revolution had that
Yeah.
big demo. There were plenty of games where I watched the demo and I thought, this is really cool. It did feel like almost none of the things I saw were coming out this year. So there's that kind of feeling like, okay, well, there's going to be some stuff this year, but what? I suppose they did mention Silk Song, and we should mention
Oh,
that too.
they mentioned
which
it a
theoretically
lot.
is coming this year, so that'll be out. But like a lot of this stuff, Clockwork Revolution, for example, or just a lot of these games we're saying are coming out in 2026. So that's a little bit. We just have to wait. But I really did watch a lot of these trailers and think, that looks cool. I'll totally give that a shot.
Mina the Hollower, which I mentioned last week, the next game from Yacht Club, the Shovel Knight people. I played the demo for that on the flight to LA, and it's phenomenal. I immediately started a new game of the demo, and because I liked it so much. That's like the Game Boy Color style, kind of Link's Awakening style, top-down action game, and it feels really, really good. I really enjoyed that. That comes out this year. That's why I bring it up. Comes out October 31st,
nice.
they said. So
Okay,
that'll be a
good to
cool
know.
one. And then, they said Silksong will be out by the holiday. They showed like a second of new footage while demoing the ROG Ally, the new handheld from
It's
Xbox.
funny that we had Deadpool making a joke about Silksong, but then Silksong itself got such a kind of left-handed mention, or sideways mention, I suppose. No disrespect to left-handed people.
Well, that's what happened at the Nintendo thing, too. It was like part of a sizzle reel at the Nintendo Switch 2 event a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's everybody's favorite sizzle reel appearance. I mean, I also did get to play the Xbox handheld. And it was very funny to me. I didn't get to play Silksong on the handheld, but they showed us a really long video before we got to play it where they just went through every single UI screen that we were going to experience. And Silksong was on every single UI screen.
That's
like they
so funny.
just fully committed. And I was like, are they just doing this because this is a room of reporters and they know that this is what we want to play? And they're trying to like psychosomatically be like, you like the handheld because Silksong's going to be on it. Now it's not on the one we're giving you today. Anyway, who's to say? I thought it was hilarious. Played Gears of War on it.
I think they must have some deal together because Silksong is going to be a day one Game Pass game. They announced that a couple of years ago. So maybe they have some sort of marketing deal in place.
Maybe.
And that's why it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Can I throw something out there, by the way? It's related to Silksong. Dan Olson, the host of Folding Ideas, gave a talk at PAX about silk posting. That's this whole, it's so good. I've watched like half of it, and it's so interesting. And it's his kind of analysis and breakdown of the history of what's called silk posting, which is like shit posting on the Silksong subreddit.
Oh, right.
About
Wow.
or tweeting, Silksong, I can't believe it. And then everyone was like, wait, what? What happened? Did it get announced? And like how there's this whole culture of trolling and shitposting around Silksong. And honestly, it's like a very funny talk and a very good and informative one. And also just a sort of fun thing to watch in light of the fact that we know Silksong is coming out. We can link it in show notes. But I just watched like half of it just randomly over the last few days and really loved it. And this made me think of it. So I wanted to shout it out.
I'll check it out. I love Dan Olson.
Yeah, they like to Photoshop tweets from me in that subreddit.
Oh,
so
nice,
I'm
nice.
familiar with the silk posting.
It's good.
Yeah,
it's good bits.
It's
I mean,
very funny. The whole thing is very funny.
Yeah.
So there was one game that I play or saw. I didn't actually get my hands on it, but I saw it and was like, this is cool. This is a game that the three of us will want to talk about at some point, which was not in one of the shows. And it's called Grave Seasons. And it is essentially like Stardew Valley meets supernatural murder mystery. And this is a game by...
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Oh wait, I think I know this. This was like in a sizzle reel a little while ago, right? It's from
I'm sure.
the horror.
Yes, Blumhouse. It's from Blumhouse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's from Blumhouse.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jason
Yes.
Blum, the infamous horror film producer, his game company. Yes, it's from Blumhouse. It's made by this small studio called Perfect Garbage, which I told them was a fantastic
actually an
name for a
amazing
game
name.
studio.
It's very Spider-Man.
Very good. It comes out next year, and I was watching. I didn't actually play it, but I was watching someone play it for a while, and I thought it looked really cool. It's like it's got the trappings of a typical cozy sim/romance game. It has like this himbo character that you meet who just like looks like a hunk, and like all these other characters with these really fun designs that look like they're in a romance game. But then the twists start to happen, and it's like people die. And I was talking to one of the writers, and she was telling me that the way it works is that the game, when you start off, the game kind of picks randomly which character will die. And when I first heard that, I was like, oh man, is this going to be like a procedural thing where it doesn't really feel like a good story? But she was like, no, it picks randomly, and then it's all a handcrafted story from there. So you can keep replaying it to like watch different people die, and it'll always be like an actual authored story as a result. And then you have to investigate, you have to figure out like how it happened and all the supernatural elements. There are like all sorts of creepy things like big ghost monsters and
Man, I love that. Stardew Valley would really benefit from having a mystery to solve.
Yeah.
And while there are mysteries, things hidden in the game, the idea of a murder mystery in the town of Stardew Valley would be a perfect fit for that game. That's such a good idea.
Yeah, it
that's
looks really
amazing.
That sounds
interesting.
great.
Again, caveat here is that I didn't actually get to play it, but I thought it looked really interesting. I got to play a game that Maddie, that you can talk more about it, the Soft Rains game, because you were really into this as well.
I really like this game. This game's called Ambrosia Sky, and it's going to be the debut game from a studio called Soft Rains. And I talked to Joel Burgess afterward. He's worked at Bethesda. People probably
Yeah.
know his name or are familiar with his work anyway.
And
About
Ubisoft
the game.
and Cappy,
Yeah,
yeah, a bunch of
Ubisoft.
places.
Yeah. And it's a really small team and just really super specific thing they're making. My headline version that I will say again is Metroid Prime meets Power Wash Simulator, which is like the most Maddie Myers thing ever. But I almost don't want to put it in that kind of a box because it's also a story. It's got something to say. And it's not to say that, you know, there isn't lore in Power Wash Simulator, but y'all are picking up what I'm putting down. Basically, you're playing as this, you're a heroine named Dahlia. She's an astronaut and she's an intergalactic, you know, explorer. And she's revisiting her home planet, and it's been completely overrun by this fungus that has poisoned everybody there. Everyone's dead. So she is there to actually perform funeral rites. And so it's actually kind of a sad story in some ways because she's like looking back on her past life there and sort of saying goodbye to a series of people that she once knew. But she's also got a water gun and she's cleaning up the fungus the entire way through because she needs to in order to like get to find all of the bodies of her friends. And so it's also like a satisfying cozy game mechanic to go with the haunting, sad, okay, I'm like reflecting on my life and what these people meant to me. And I loved the music too. I thought the music was really great. It's got like kind of a synth with some real instruments, like there's jaw harps in it. And I did like just a fun interview with Joel about that and why they chose all the different really specific things that they chose for that game.
The gun feels a little, it's like a little immersive simmy. It feels a little like Prey, almost like the glue gun from Prey, because in addition to spraying off these like monster fungus things, you can also switch it to put down like this electricity conducing goo that you can use to solve puzzles. So you like hook up a power line to something with the goo and use it to conduct power to something else. So it has a lot of immersive sim to it as well, not just like the coziness of a power wash simulator.
Mm-hmm. There's also like some puzzle solving to get through where you need to go. Yeah, for sure.
Sounds a little like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, actually.
Yeah.
Which at the time, walking simulators were like the thing, and now the cozy game cleanup is the thing. So they've but it's a similar kind of narrative structure where you're learning about the people who were in a space, which sounds really neat.
Makes sense.
I thought it was really cool.
I played a couple more things that I just want to shout out real quick. Pragmata, pretty interesting. Yeah,
loved
pretty cool.
it.
Cool combat. It's rather than just like a typical third-person shooter. There's like a little hacking mini game that you have to kind of play as you shoot robots, which is pretty cool. I played a game called Tawa something or another, which is from Bandai Namco, and it is like shockingly similar to Hades. It's like a Japanese like.
There were a few Hades likes in this press conference.
Yeah. I played Thick as Thieves, which is a multiplayer Thief by Warren Spector and his team. Warren Spector being longtime immersive sim forefather behind games like Deus Ex, Ultima Underworld, etc. I played Dying Light: The Beast. That's a game that comes out in just 2 months. Feels like a new Dying Light game. Pretty cool. Looks pretty good.
Game that I'm excited for because I like Dying Light.
Yeah, I really liked it. Feels really good to play. I really enjoyed it. And then the thing I really want to talk about is Blighted, because that might be my favorite game of the show. This is a game I mentioned earlier that is from Drinkbox Studios. When I first saw it, it has that same isometric viewpoint as Hades, so I thought it was a roguelike and it was going to be Hades-ish, but it's not. It's actually a Metroidvania handcrafted world. And it's got this really cool art style, this really cool world and story about blight and people eating each other's brains. I won't get into all that, but I will say that it felt really good to play and it got me really excited because those guys at Drinkbox make really good games, and that game had me really stoked. It's kind of got a lot of souls to it, a lot of soulsy combat to it, and it also has co-op, so you can play with someone else, which is pretty cool as well. Bladed is the game I was really excited about. I played another couple of things, but none of them really stood out to me. Maddie, anything else stand out to you from your time playing stuff at the show?
Just a couple more. So I played Shadow Labyrinth, which better described as the grimdark Pac-Man game.
Yeah,
like this is
Pac-Man.
An actual official Bandai Namco game with Pac-Man in it, but you're also a mysterious sword fighter who has like a creepy yellow sphere that follows you around. It's like, what if Pac-Man were dark? I just
Wait,
find
so
this
you don't
concept
play
very
as
funny.
Pac-Man? Pac-Man just follows you around?
No, Pac-Man's your buddy. Pac-Man
Okay,
is your
got
buddy.
it.
And okay, so this is a 2D Metroidvania. So naturally, it feels great and I'm gonna like it. But here's the most important part of it. For the morph ball mood, you play as Pac-Man. You turn into Pac-Man so that you can eat up little dots and roll around and wall jump as Pac-Man, and it feels amazing. You just suddenly start playing Pac-Man at periodic points in the game, and it's so
That
good.
makes total sense.
It
I can
really, really
picture it.
works. The design of the monsters is awesome. It just looks great. There's like, you have a mech suit that you get into at one point and you can just beat the crap out of people in it. It's like your special power up. And like the developer was like comparing it to like how when Pac-Man eats a power pellet, he can eat ghosts. And I'm like, yeah, I guess he kind of becomes a mech. I kind of get where you're going with that, but like, it's really just, it's very silly to see Pac-Man juxtaposed with this sort of like dark 2D Metroid world, but I really dug it, thought it felt great to play. And then what was my last one? Oh, Ninja Gaiden 4. That was my last one that I also played. Really liked this one. So
Yeah.
I know people are kind of skeptical of this because this is a Team Ninja and Platinum Games collab, which, okay, I mean, Team Ninja, you know, they make the Ninja Gaiden games. They kind of are
teams
known
that make good action games.
Yes, but not necessarily of the same variety. Like, I kind of think of Team Ninja as like, okay, it's Neo. It's really like super precise, Souls-like. You really need to know what you're doing. Whereas for Platinum games, you could kind of button mash your way through. You need to learn some combos to be really good, but you can also just kind of get through a Devil May Cry if you need to. And you're just feeling like you look really cool while you do it. And I actually think the combination super, super works. I had a great time playing this game. I think it is a nice combination of like, it is a 3D action game. You do lock on. There are some kind of like classic Souls-like elements where you're like, okay, I need to really pay attention to these attack patterns and think about what I'm going to do next. But there's also the Platinum Games element where there's a ton of different fun, splashy combos to learn, and they just look really cool. And like, there's tons of blood splatter everywhere to a degree that's like kind of comedic and cartoonish almost. And it's like fun and goofy and Devil May Cry-ish in terms of tone. The lead character's really sarcastic and funny. And I liked that stuff too. So like, it is definitely like a heavy dose of Platinum Games energy in there, which I don't know that all your classic Ninja Gaiden fans are going to like or not, but it really worked for me. I do like Platinum Games for the record, but like, I also just thought the combination was actually pretty effective. And I think people will hopefully also end up liking it, even if they're just a Ninja Gaiden person.
Also comes out this year.
Nice.
Yeah, it comes out this year. It comes out in October. So that one is actually pretty soon to be released.
Nice.
All right. Any final thoughts on SGF before we take a break and talk about other things?
Had a good time. Got to see you in person, Jason. That was fun.
That was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Had a
fun
nice
getting
time.
to hang out and talk about how awesome the state of media is.
Yeah, it's going great.
Stable everything.
Yeah, that
is.
was what
fun.
every reporter I met said. They all said it's going great, and we high-fived.
Did you spend a lot of time at the JW bar, aka Airport Hilton, Maddy?
A little bit. I got my socialization on for sure. I had a lot of conversations. You know what I mean?
Way too much socializing.
So much socializing. I'm ready to lie down and play video games in the comfort of my own home.
I mean,
glad to be
for
back to
people
normal.
like us, we both work from home, so this
I
is
know.
like our one time.
This is like
or
my
2 times
big
a
mega
year.
blast of
Yeah.
socializing, and
Yeah.
now I retreat to my cave. Feels good.
Yeah. It was a fun trip. Nice to be there, and nice to see you and many other old friends. And it's always fun to see people who like you only see once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you because we see each other every
No,
week
we
on
see each
Zoom.
other more.
But people I only see once or twice a year, but realize that I've known for like 15 years. It's kind of a strange feeling when it's like you've known these people for so long, but you only actually see them like once every 6 months. It's always fun. All right, let's take a break and then we'll be back with one more thing.
Actor Samantha Sloyan has played a lot of characters. Bev Keane in Midnight Mass, Miss Rohrbacher in the new film The Life of Chuck, Lily, the mother who diligently watches over her son in the hit medical drama The Pit. But what character really made Samantha Sloyan feel seen? That is Special Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks.
When you see somebody swing for the fences with almost like no sense of embarrassment or, just with total abandon, I'm just captivated.
Join me, Jordan Crucchiola, for that and more on the latest Feeling Seen from MaximumFun.org.
Hey.
Hey there.
Do you love reading smut?
Erotica?
Romance?
Romantasy?
Is your e-reader full of horny fairies and sexy shifters?
Are your shelves bursting with enemies to lovers?
We're reading smut, your new fated mate.
Every other Friday, we dive into sexy books and talk to the people who love them.
Consider this our meet cute.
Reading Smut, every other Friday on Maximum Fun.
And we are back. Kirk, Maddy, it is time for one more thing. But wait, all of our one more thing is the same because a new video game console just came out and we all have finally gotten our hands on it. So we should talk about it. All right, the Xbox ROG Ally is here, and no, wait a minute. And we don't have prices for those yet, by the way. But I bet that one.
I'm actually not sure you can pre-order them yet.
No, that one is going to be like $1,000 because they're calling it like for enthusiasts, really powerful. Sure. People really care about performance, so it's going to be like a grand. All right,
What are we really talking about?
we all have the Switch 2. I actually got mine sent to me by Nintendo while I was in Los Angeles. I got mine. You two both bought yours, but have received games from Nintendo. So big disclosure here is that the three of us have all, in some form or another, got some stuff from Nintendo, which we should say before we talk about it. I've had a bunch of time to play around with it, to play some Mario Kart. Maddy and I played Mario Kart in the JW lobby. That's cool.
That was really fun, honestly. Should describe the mode that we played because this is like the funnest new mode. Mario
we were
Kart.
playing Knockout Rush, which is the mode, or is it Knockout Tour? Whatever it's called.
It's
which is the mode
Knockout Tour.
Knockout Tour, which is the mode that is essentially a battle royale where you play across 5 different courses, and at each kind of goal, you have to be within the top X, and X keeps changing, keeps getting subtracted by 4 as you go. So for starters, you have to be in the top 20, then the top 16, then in the top 12, then in the top 8, then in the top 4. And it's super fun. I mean, the game looks gorgeous, feels fantastic, is really fun to play. But yeah, let's talk about the hardware in general and kind of our thoughts on it after a week of using it. And whether the battery life is really this bad or what. But yeah, let's give some thoughts. Kirk, what are your kind of initial thoughts after a week of the Switch 2?
It's faster, better Switch. I mean, that's not really a mind-blowing thing to say, but that is what it is. And that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, it is a really impressive, sleek little device. It was expensive. I don't think I would have bought it if not for Triple Click. Like, I felt the sting of spending $450, and then, Triple Click, I guess, bought some of my games, and Nintendo sent a couple codes for others. But each purchase felt like, geez, man, this is expensive. So I think that was one of the biggest impressions it made on me is just, first off, it's an expensive console. Second, you have to buy a lot of software if you want to get Tears of the Kingdom running and looking really great. You got to either pay for it or you got to get the expansion pass for the online service. There's just a sense that there are a lot of additional expenses, which I remember being true of the first Switch as well. For example, there are no under buttons on the Switch, even though the GL and GR buttons are kind of part of the Switch 2 experience. If you have the Pro controller, there are under buttons that you can program. And if you have the sold separately dock for the Joy-Con, like the Joy-Con grip, that has USB-C charging, so you can charge it while you play, and it has the G buttons on the underside. But the included grip doesn't have either of those things, so it doesn't charge the Joy-Con,
Wow.
and it doesn't have it doesn't have the under buttons. And I think that's actually an issue because when I play games with under buttons, which I really like doing, I get used to that method of play. You know, if I'm playing a Souls game and I have dodge on an under button, I really my brain really learns to play that way. And then it's very hard to switch back. Or, I put dodge and attack on those buttons a lot. So they get a lot of use. And so then I'm having to go back to using face buttons, and it actually is more difficult for me. So then I wind up not really using the under buttons. I actually found that was true on the Switch. I had a pair of, I think they were Mad Catz, or somebody's custom grips. They were like Joy-Con that go on the side that had under buttons, but I never used them because, when I played the Switch without those grips, I didn't have access to them. That's a little thing, but there's just a feeling with this thing that it's very, very expensive. You have to get a new SD card if you want to expand the storage. In fairness, I haven't had to expand the storage. All of my games, the games I wanted to play anyways, fit. But so there's the sense of expense.
It comes with 256 gigabytes, which I think will probably be enough for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. But at the same time,
We'll
I
see.
think it's the fact that in order to get more storage, I can't just take the SD card out of my
very
Switch and pop it
frustrating.
into
No,
this
I
one.
agree.
It's like,
tough.
oh, okay, one more thing I have to buy. That's my main point. Is there's just a feeling of I need a new case for this thing because it's bigger than the Switch, so I'll have to get a case. And and there's just a feeling of
I ordered one on Amazon to my hotel so I could bring it home in a case.
right. So it's just kind of that thing with a new console where there's always a lot more expenses. And given that this console is very expensive, that was something that really stuck out to me. I do like the console. I have a lot more thoughts on it, but I've already talked for a while. So that's one thing that stuck with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth noting here. I'll throw it to you in a second, Maddie, but I do think it's worth noting that this is the expenses you're putting in now are an investment for ideally the next 7-8 years. And yes, you'll still have to buy games, but you're never going to have to buy a Pro Controller again. You're never going to have to buy a case again. So it does feel like there's that initial price. And I'm with you. We talked about this last week. I don't think any of us would buy the Switch 2 now, if not for having to cover it for work. I would wait for the big holiday game or at least Metroid. But once you make that investment, you're in it for the long haul. It's worth noting.
To throw out one other thing that I read and thought was very interesting, iFixit, the website that gives a repairability score to lots of new tech. They give this a 3 out of 10. They took it apart and looked at it, and a lot of the issues that were in the Switch 1 that caused the stick drift, that caused various things to fail, are still there.
Yeah.
They haven't it's not actually that much better made, and it's very, very difficult to take it apart and fix it. There are things that are glued. There are things that are just really hard to access. So while it is an investment, it's a very expensive one and one that is hard to repair. And I think that's also something that people should keep in mind. Yet again, I sound like I'm being really critical, and I actually have really enjoyed using the
I
Switch
think
too,
it's
but these are all
okay,
things that
though.
are in the back of my mind as I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Maddie, what are your thoughts on the thing?
I mean, just to kind of build on what Kirk was saying, I'm not going to be negative the whole time either, but I just want to emphasize something. The launch game is Mario Kart, and something I was thinking about when Jason and I were playing it together in the JW, we were playing it on those 2 Joy-Cons because that's what's available out of the box. And as soon as we completed that race, we both were like, our hands hurt now. That is obviously not an ideal way to play Mario Kart, is with that tiny little Joy-Con. It's bigger than it was, but it's small. You don't want to play Mario Kart with that thing. And it's just sort of interesting to me that right out of the box, you don't have really a great option to play a multiplayer game. That said, this is also the era of Nintendo trying online multiplayer. I, unfortunately, haven't really had as much time with the Switch 2 because my Switch 2 arrived mere minutes after I left for the airport on Thursday morning. I'm still mad about it. It's fine. Whatever. Who cares? I don't care that Nintendo decided to launch the console during this time
I can
period.
tell you don't care.
I'm not even
Maddie's face
mad
is
at
the
all.
face of a woman who doesn't care.
But even with the limited time I've had with it, I am really digging Mario Kart, and I'm in no way mad that it's a launch game, but I'm also this is a game that I personally have seen as a local co-op fun experience. So I'm going to need to buy some more controllers if I'm going to make that happen in my household. That's fine. It's just building on the additional expenses that Kirk was talking about, because I do feel like playing Mario Kart with friends in person is part of what's really fun about it, but I also don't want them to hurt their hands. So I'm already thinking ahead.
So you don't have to buy. You can use the Switch ones. Well, you can use the Switch ones, Joy-Cons, and Pro controllers on your Switch too. So if you have an old Pro controller, if you have the thing, the thing you insert the Joy-Cons into from the Switch one,
grip.
You can probably finagle enough controllers to be able to play local co-op without having to buy a bunch of new Pro controllers.
And I will be seeing what I can do. Yeah.
Let me speak to that because my nieces have been visiting this week, and I have been playing a bunch of local Mario Kart World using Switch One. They brought up one of their Pro controllers, and I used my Pro controller from the Switch One, and we used some Joy-Con from the Switch One, which you can pair to the Switch 2. So we have no shortage of controllers, and that's totally fine. All of them are fine. They work really well.
That's really...
And that game is so freaking fun to play in split screen. Man, it's not as smooth and wonderful as it is in either 2-player or single player because it runs at 30 frames per second when you're in split screen 4-player or 3-player. So it's just a little harder to feel totally in control the way that when you first play this thing, either on the huge screen of the Switch 2 or on your TV, it's really remarkable. It's running so smooth. It's so vivid at a high resolution. You really feel in control. It's a little harder to feel in control, but man, Knockout Tour, you mentioned it already, and that mode is so fun just at a first impression, the first time you play through it, because of the elimination, slightly battle royale, I guess, structure, this feeling that there's this series of climactic races, to a finish line that it just keeps going and going and going. When you're in the same room with people, especially, excited young people who you're playing alongside and are having such a good time, like we had a blast. It was so much fun. And actually, I feel like once they leave, my Switch 2 experience will not be as fun as it was when they were here. They came at the perfect time. So I really heartily endorse playing split screen Knockout Tour with other people. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's cool. And just to kind of echo the other thing you were getting into, Kirk, I do like the feel of the Switch 2 a lot so far. Yeah. I like the magnets. They feel really good. I like that you can, quote unquote, accidentally put the Joy-Cons in wrong and you don't get punished for that.
That's the first thing I did.
That is something the Switch 1 doesn't do and was deeply stressful to me, and honestly still is, although I don't know that I'm going to be using my Switch 1 that much anymore. But being able to just put those Joy-Cons in whatever, putting them into the version of the grip that comes in the box. Great. Feels great. I haven't used the mouse enough to really weigh in on that. I don't love the feel of it so far. No surprise there. I'm probably the biggest mouse skeptic on this show, and I have been from the jump. But I'm waiting for it to win me over, and I will absolutely update the listeners if it does. Really curious about Metroid Prime with a mouse. I don't know. And I guess I should also amend what I said before. There's no universe where I didn't buy the Switch 2 for Metroid Prime. Jason, you kind of said that previously, where you were like, well, we wouldn't be buying it if not for Triple Click, and maybe I'd wait for Metroid. I know with certainty, games journalists know, every timeline of Maddy is buying that for Metroid. So even though we don't have a release date...
Really? Well, but you could just play it on the Switch 1.
I know, but it's going to look so much better on the Switch 2, isn't it?
Well, the question is it $500 better?
Well, but in this other reality, I am a stockbroker or whatever we said, so I can afford it. It's fine, right?
You work in finance.
Anyway, this has made me very excited for Metroid, is all I can say. I do feel like Mario Kart looks great. I'm loving it. 60 frames a second. Beautiful. I'm really excited for Metroid Prime now is really what this is.
So, okay, a couple thoughts from me. One is that playing it and testing it out for the last week, it is really striking for me how thin the launch lineup is. And I know it's sold, I believe Nintendo just announced that it's sold 3.5 million units, making it their fastest console launch ever, which is impressive. And I imagine all of those 3.5 million players are just playing Mario Kart nonstop because there's not a lot of other games to play on this thing. I've been playing a little bit of Bravely Default HD, which feels like a game from 2013.
I mean, there's a lot of games to play. They're just Switch games.
Yeah.
Well, sure. I've been
that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, it's true. Although in my testing, only a few of them actually feel and look better on this thing. Only a few of them have frame rate enhancements, and it's all Nintendo games from what I've seen. So, for example, going from Tears of the Kingdom at 60 frames a second, which is incredible, to I was testing out Final Fantasy 12 because I had that loaded in, and that is running at 30 frames a second and doesn't really look that great, and is a little bit of a disappointment there. But also just in terms of new stuff, there isn't a whole lot of new stuff to play on this thing, and I imagine it just kind of sitting on the shelf for a while after the novelty of like checking out all of these big AAA things. Like maybe when Elden Ring comes out, I'll check it out. I just got a code sent to me by Warner for Hogwarts Legacy, so I'm sure I'll check that out just to see how it runs on the Switch too. But like outside of the kind of novelty of checking out all these games, I don't know how much time I'm going to spend with this thing until there's a lot more Nintendo first party stuff to play, which hopefully there will be in the next year. But like we've been saying, and like I wrote about on Bloomberg, console launches, you're always just buying, you're investing in the next few years. You're investing in this platform that is going to be your springboard for the next few years. And it almost doesn't matter what it has at launch other than the question of whether to buy it now or not. The other thing that is noteworthy to me and might be a bigger problem is that I have found that the battery drains really fast. I don't know about you guys, but I've been kind of looking at the percentage indicator and been shocked by like how 10 minutes of play, it'll be down like 5% or something like that. I'm a little nervous about what that's going to look like in the future, especially as the games get more intense. But in my experience, it seems pretty grim. I haven't done like extensive testing. I'm sure there's some YouTube video out there that has like really elaborate battery tests.
Digital Foundry will do it at some point. Just tell us the numbers.
But just in my own kind of amateur, just playing around and seeing what it's like, I've been a little worried about the battery.
Yeah, that's good to know.
I appreciate that the software allows you to keep it at 90%, which will allow the battery to last longer. It's sort of a standard feature now in a lot of technology, but it's something that they added. There's a lot of little software stuff like that. That's nice. You can remap per game, which is cool. Some accessibility features that are neat. And yeah, I don't know, setting this thing up and just porting over my whole Switch library just really underlined what a different kind of console launch this is for Nintendo compared to previous systems. I mean, there are a ton of games on here, and it made me realize for the last few years, the Switch has kind of been a console where I'll start a game and then not really finish it or play that much of it and think, that was really fun, I should go play more. And with the Switch 2 now, I'm kind of having this feeling of, oh yeah, Bayonetta 3. I know that was sort of, some people were mixed on it, but I hear that it actually does run better.
It's got some great
now.
boss battles in it, too. It's worth it even if you don't like the story, which I did not. If you enjoy playing a game, it's good.
And I was reading that it runs better now on Switch 2, that there are just some games where they had unlocked frame rates that now just run at a solid 60. I believe The Witcher 3 also runs a lot better.
Yeah,
not that I'm going to play The Witcher 3 on this console, but, you know, like there is kind of that Cyberpunk is out, which I know some people it'll be their first time playing Cyberpunk.
You're going to play The Witcher 4 on the Switch too, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'll be out on the Switch 5 or whatever, and it'll finally run at 30 frames per second in 2031. No, but so anyways, the feeling of looking at it, of thinking, oh, you know, I've got all this Tears of the Kingdom stuff that I want to do, and playing this game. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild both look beautiful if you have the paid, I should say, but the $10 upgrade for either of those games. I mean, man, it's really cool to play Tears of the Kingdom, especially, and be summoning, you know, huge devices that you made and have it running at a locked 60. It looks really good on the TV, and it does make me want to just go back and finish the vast amount of that game that I never finished. And then there's a bunch more other games like that too. So while there aren't that many new games, there is Mario Kart, and that's really fun, and that feels fresh and new, but also a lot of this other stuff feels pretty cool to me. Like, I do have a significant library on this console for a quote-unquote new console.
Yeah, it's kind of like getting a new computer or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or a new iPad, like I was saying last week.
Where you're like, I'm just getting a new computer, and now I'm playing all my old games on my new computer that I just bought.
Right.
Yeah.
The load times are much, much faster, especially on Tears of the Kingdom, which even without, I tested out Tears of the Kingdom even without before getting the Switch 2 upgrade. And even though the graphics aren't like a huge improvement from Switch 1, although it seemed like the frame rate was a little more stable. You don't get 60 frames a second unless you get the upgrade, but the loading times are much, much faster even without the dedicated Switch 2 upgrade. I just was looking at Reddit a little bit, and it does seem like people have found improvements in a bunch of random games, so I think it's the type of thing where the more testing you do, the more you'll kind of see.
I know one of the Pokemon games is infamously bad on Switch and now runs really well.
The most recent one, I believe.
Is that the one?
Yeah, Scarlet and Violet, and now
that
it
sounds
runs.
Right.
Yeah. Our buddy Mike was talking about that. When I saw him in LA.
So that one was a big deal for Pokemon fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just add one more thing about Mario Kart? I think I'm the only one of us that got the Mario Kart bundle, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know why I thought that was going to come with a box with Mario Kart in it. It did not. Let me show you two what it came with. It came with this tiny piece of paper that I almost couldn't find in the box and was scared and was like, did I not get Mario Kart? No, there's like a business card with a game code on it. And I was a little like, okay, well, I guess I'm not even getting the box. So that's what you get if you got the Mario Kart bundle. In case anybody was wondering, may as well just purchase it in the store. I guess you don't get the discount. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting choice. Oh, well.
Yeah, so Pokemon was one game that looks much better. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, the one that came out last fall,
I bet that
ran
was
like
way
garbage
better.
on the Switch one, runs much, much better.
Garbage is maybe overstating it, but it had some frame rate issues.
Okay, I mean, it was pretty bad. It stuttered a lot, yes. And Link's Awakening also, both of those games, similar art style, had a lot of struggles on the Switch one. Both of them run much better on the Switch 2. A lot of Nintendo first-party stuff has gotten these kind of quiet, like Super Mario Odyssey runs 60 frames a second in handheld mode, which is awesome. So yes, I mean...
I believe they added HDR to Odyssey as well, which is cool. So
I never beat that game. I should go back and beat it.
You should. Yeah, well, it's really good. And then once you beat it, there's a lot more to do.
When Bowser's Fury got some updates too, and I never finished that.
And that already looked really good.
This is my experience where I'm like, wow, Bowser's Fury, I never finished that. The game was fun as hell.
Yeah.
Why don't I go back and finish it? And I probably won't, but it makes me really want to.
But it's fun to pretend that you will.
That's a me problem. I'm just too busy. But like, if I had more time, I definitely would.
Yeah, so point being, yes, Maddie, I think your comparison is pretty good, that it's like you just got a new PC and you're like, oh, I should test out all these games that I own and see how they run now, like see how much better they run now. So in that sense, it's pretty cool. But in terms of new stuff, I think that the lineup is pretty thin, and we'll see if that changes. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, again, you're just buying the platform where you will play all of your Nintendo games for the next few years. So like whether you buy it now or you wait a couple years and then just buy it when the next Zelda comes out, it doesn't really matter other than like what you get to play at any given time from Nintendo. But yeah, I mean, then there's also people who like don't have a Steam Deck or any sort of handheld PC and might be very curious to play a lot of these third-party games portably, which will be cool. Cyberpunk being a good example of that. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting launch, and I'm sure we'll be talking lots more about it in the weeks and months to come, especially as Nintendo announces more stuff. One other thing is that as far as we know, as of us recording this on Wednesday, June 11th, no Nintendo Direct just yet for June.
And it was interesting that they announced a Splatoon 3 expansion and update just as a press release. So it almost makes me like that's the kind of thing that would be in a Direct.
No, they announced a totally new Splatoon game, not an expansion. It was like a spin-off game.
Okay. So a spin-off and an update to
yes.
Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
So basically they announced something that you would have thought would be in a Switch 2 Direct just separately, which makes me wonder about Direct timing.
Yes.
And if they're going to do one at all. I had been assuming this whole time they would do one. But
well, they almost always do one in June. Last year they did one like a week or two after Summer Game Fest.
And I think it took us a while to find out.
So it could still be,
I
mean, it could be next week that they just drop one.
Could be they've got so much for the Direct that the Splatoon stuff that was just extra.
That was a little appetizer.
Could be exciting. It could be a good thing.
Very
maybe
possible.
We shouldn't be hoping for that.
Yeah, very possible. It does feel like we need a Metroid release date, which
please.
like has to be imminent, right? Because they've said it's this year. So they have to be like, yay, it's coming in September or something. And also, right now, the holiday lineup for them is pretty lacking. So they need to say something, whether it's a 3D Mario game or like some other big surprise. So it does feel like we'll get a Nintendo Direct soon. And that, I think, will make a lot more Switch 2 owners excited about owning the machine and being able to get their hands on one. By the way, they're still difficult to get. I was at a GameStop in LA, and just for kicks, I ran in and was like, hey, like, do you guys have any Switch 2s? They were like, no. I was like, are you getting new stock in, or is it all just the pre-order stock? And they're like, no, we haven't gotten any new stock in. This was a few days after launch. So
I would have to imagine that over the next couple of months, also a lot of the third-party games that currently have games on Switch 1, some more of them will release updates for Switch 2. The way No Man's Sky now has a Switch 2 version. I would think, especially as more and more people get Switch 2s, there's a pretty good incentive for a lot of independent devs and third-party devs to to patch their games and update them. And so that'll just kind of be a steady cadence of, hey, check this out. It runs really well on Switch now. And for a lot of people, that'll probably be really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. All right. Well, that is that for this week's episode. Kirk, Maddy, I will see you both next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.